Take care what you ask for because you might get it. Ito yung pumasok sa isip ko while I was listening to our first reading today. There is a tension going on between Abraham and his nephew Lot. Walang tensyon nung mahirap pa sila. Kung kailan sila yumaman, nagkaroon ng tension. There is a conflict among their shepherds, their herdsmen, dahil madami na ang kanilang mga pinapastulan. And Abraham tries to resolve the conflict by talking heart to heart with his nephew. To paraphrase him, parang ganito yung sinasabi niya sa pamangkin niya, huwag tayong mag-away. Let us define our territories para walang conflict sa ating mga nagpapastol. Bakit tayo mag-aaway? We are family. So, if you prefer the pasture on the right, I will go to the left. If you prefer the pasture on the left, I will go to the right. Ang bait ni Abraham. He was very magnanimous to his nephew. Pero itong kanyang nephew, sarili lang yung iniisip. Kaya, siya yung pumili. He chose what he thought was the better and the greener pasture. He did not realize that what he had chosen would be the very place that would be destroyed later on. The author is noting the irony of it all. Nagpasok siya ng kaunting parenthetical remark. He says, this was before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, the very place that Lot had chosen. Yun ang pinili niya. Kaya sabi ko, be careful what you wish for. You know, itong usapin ng pagpili ng tama is very consistent with our gospel reading today. Sabi ni Jesus in the gospel, do not throw what is holy to the dogs or pearls to the swine. Bakit? Because they do not know what those things are worth. Obviously, analogy lang to. He is using the dogs and the swine as an analogy or a metaphor for people who have not been reared with a proper sense of values or a sense of discernment and have no appreciation for what is holy or what is true or what is of worth. You know, nowadays, that is supposed to be addressed by subjects like values education or religious education that should include the formation of conscience. The lack of proper values and the dysfunction of conscience, all of this will show in the way people react even to issues in our society. There are people who cannot even distinguish anymore between truth and fake news. Just as there are people who are plainly gullible, madaling lokohin. There are those who think of the easy way as the best way. Gusto nila quick results, shortcuts. Persons who have no regard at all for, well, the right way of doing things. They do not want the narrow gate. They avoid trials and difficulties. Ewan ko kung narinig nyo na yung old Jewish story tungkol sa dalawang magkapatid. Once there were two brothers. They inherited a piece of land from their father. Yung isa, he was married and had children. The other one was single but quite advanced in years. Medyo may edad na. Pero syempre, because they had equal rights as children of their parents, they decided to work together on the land and then subtract the cost of production at paghatian yung harvest 50-50, equally among the two of them at the end of the harvest season. One day, umani sila ng malaki. After a big harvest, yung brother na walang asawa at walang anak, he said to himself, I do not feel good about getting exactly the same share, 50% of the harvest, exactly the same as my brother when he has a family to feed. May mga anak siya. But I know that he will object to the idea of letting him get a bigger share. Kasi alam ko may pride din tong brother ko. Sabi niya sa sarili niya. Because, totoo naman, we have equal rights dahil pareho silang tagapagmana. So, he decided that night that he would just quietly transfer 10 sacks of grain to the barn of his brother nang hindi nalalaman ng brother so that his brother could have more for his family's needs without even knowing it. And so he did what he planned. But unknown to him, yung kapatid niya, the married brother, was thinking the same thing next door. Hindi rin siya makatulog. And he was saying to himself, I should have volunteered to give a bigger share of the harvest to my younger brother or to my brother who is not married. Who will look after him pag matanda na siya? He has no wife and he has no children. He might not have enough savings to be able to seek shelter in a retirement home. But I know, mag-o-object naman siya because he is a thoughtful brother. I think I can just silently transfer 10 sacks of grains to my brother's barn tonight so that he can save more for his old age. But the following day, they were surprised to find out na hindi nagbago yung bilang ng mga sako sa kanilang kamalig. And so, inulit nila. They did it again. And again. And again. But they keep counting the same number of sacks of grain. Until one night, they did it again. And they bumped on each other. And they realized that they were doing exactly the same thing out of sheer thoughtfulness and consideration for one another. And so, when they realized what each one was trying to do, under the bright moonlight, they embraced each other. And God in heaven smiled at these two brothers because they behaved like his true children. Well, today, we celebrate Our Lady of Perpetual Help. You know, Pope Francis keeps telling us that our devotion to Mary is never about Mary. She will always point to her son, Jesus. Do what my son is asking of you. Well, this is how things go when people's hearts are in the right places. And when they do what the Son of Mary tells them to do. When people are raised with a good sense of values and when their consciences are well formed according to the mind and heart of the Son of God.